Cruella de Vil is about to have her moment in the silver screen spotlight, played by none other than Emma Stone. As great as she is, she doesn't hold a candle to some of Disney's greatest villains from their classic animated films. So let's dig deep and figure out just who the most powerful of them all truly is. And no, it's not you, Gaston. I see you there, about to start singing about yourself in the third person. Your army got beat up by tea sets and living furniture. You don't win.
So I would be eternally grateful if you would just take a day off.
There are a lot of Disney villains who think they are criminal masterminds. Shere Khan from The Jungle Book, Professor Ratigan from The Great Mouse Detective, and Clayton from Tarzan all do a pretty decent job when it comes to concocting evil plans. If we're talking about the best criminal mastermind in Disney though, we have to talk about Scar from The Lion King. I mean, has anyone had an evil plan go as perfectly as Scar's plan to take out Mufasa? He spent years forming bonds with both the hyenas and Simba so that he could one day manipulate Mufasa's love of his son and put him in a dangerous situation he could take advantage of. Mufasa's demise still stands out as Disney's best gut punch right to your feelings, and it's all because Scar is a prodigy at the art of schemes and villainy. The only problem with Scar is that taking out Mufasa was clearly as far as he took the plan. I mean, who would have thought that the hyenas would eat everything in sight with no thought concerning their own future? Everyone, Scar. Everyone did. Not all power comes from cunning manipulation or magic. Disney has a long history with covering positions of power and how dangerous they can be. I mean, Governor Ratcliffe from Pocahontas pretty much sings about how he's going to take over the new world while imagining himself wearing diamond-encrusted golden robes. He was not a subtle man. On that same page was the incredibly evil Claude Frollo from the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Frollo feels real on a level most children wouldn't understand, but most adults will. While posing as a virtuous man, deep beneath those robes lies a truly despicable monster with nothing but hate and lust in his heart. He wields an insane amount of power in the movie, basically acting as the law itself. The thing that truly makes him terrifying is that he continues to view himself as virtuous, no matter how over-the-top evil his actions are throughout the movie. Long before Disney reinvented the pirate game with Captain Jack Sparrow, their main pirate captain was none other than Captain Hook. He's a classic villain for a good reason. Hook manages to walk that line between terrifying villain and hilarious cartoon from scene to scene. He commands a pirate army and stages regular, high-concept fight sequences with his two rivals, Peter Pan and TikTok the alligator, who took his hand. You've gotta think that if he could let these grudges go, he would have been a true force to be reckoned with. He had a flying ship and a crew who could be pretty well coordinated from time to time. They managed to kidnap the kids in Return to Neverland like a well-oiled machine. Imagine if he used that skill for, piracy. The Princess and the Frog is the last of the classic Disney princess movies before CGI really took over. If it's the last hand-drawn princess movie, that would be okay because it is an instant classic. It gloriously recreates New Orleans in a story full of memorable characters, songs, and one nightmare-inducing villain. That is Dr. Facilier, also known as the Shadow Man. Like any good bad guy, he explains just how delightfully evil he is in song while dancing alongside his own shadow. Instead of just vague evil magic, the movie explicitly discusses how he gets his powers from his friends from the other side. These friends end up dragging him to that other side in one of the more terrifying ends to a Disney villain's life. As the fearsome leader of the Huns, Shan Yu didn't need any magic to nearly take over all of China. All he needed was his army of elite warriors and his own strategic brilliance. In a world full of tough soldiers like General Li, Shan Yu stands apart as the strongest of them all. That makes the journey for Mulan to turn into an elite soldier herself, who uses her unique mind to overcome Shan Yu and his Han army, all the more epic. Also, we'll look at the man's eyes. It's literally never explained why his eyes look like that, and you just know all the soldiers are constantly talking about it behind his back, right? I mean, how could you not? They are terrifying. I love that Disney animated movies are having a resurgence right now, but frankly, the new Disney villains aren't even close to as iconic as they used to be. Hans from Frozen, King Candy from Wreck-It Ralph, and Tamatoa from Moana didn't really hit the same as the old ones did. Then there's Raya and the Last Dragon's Namari, who was almost an epic villain, but she had to go and ruin it all by becoming a hero in the end. Luckily, we've got Big Hero 6's highly underrated Yokai to carry the evil villain torch into the 2010s. Professor Robert Callahan had himself a classic Marvel villain origin story when he was met with the tragedy of losing his daughter. He then donned a kabuki mask and took on the name Yokai. Armed with an army of microbots, he became a full-blown supervillain built on vengeance. His countless microbots are able to take on any form he chooses, making him a foe worthy of a whole superhero team. I'm not sure why we haven't seen like 3 sequels to Big Hero 6 by now, but at least he helped make the first one memorable. Disney has no shortage of evil sorceresses. You've got the evil queen from Snow White, Mother Gothel from Tangled, Yzma from The Emperor's New Groove. Truthfully though, they're all in the shadow of the evil sorceress, Maleficent. Unlike Angelina Jolie's Maleficent, who's more like a misunderstood good guy, the Sleeping Beauty Maleficent is just pure Disney evil and unashamed of it. She takes basically every trope the evil queen started 21 years earlier and added in all of the style that Disney villains would come to be known for. I mean, just look at this entrance she makes to a party she wasn't even invited to. What's even better is she's got the power to back it up. Aside from being able to cast a pretty good curse when she needs to, Maleficent is most known for a scene where she turns into a giant dragon to fight against Prince Philip in one of the most epic Disney battles of all time. Maleficent reigned supreme as the greatest Disney villain ever until the 90s. Disney Renaissance came around and dropped massively powerful and charismatic bad guys like Beyonce drops hits. Poor Jafar might be the ultimate tragedy when it comes to Disney villains. Honestly, he should 100% be at the top of this list. The problem is, he played himself right on the verge of complete victory, and he was both the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote at the same time. Jafar spent years manipulating the Sultan while searching for the diamond in the rough who could finally get him the genie's lamp. Once he finally got it, he was able to wish himself as the new Sultan and the most powerful sorcerer in the world.
Go on.
That was it. You had it. Just stop. Of course, that wasn't enough for Jafar. He had to transform himself into an all-powerful genie without realizing the obvious strings attached. He went from having everything he ever wanted to becoming an all-powerful servant. No one has ever dropped the ball like Jafar. Ursula is one of the most beloved Disney villains of all time, and it's not hard to see why. She has a ton of personality, a massive amount of power, and one of the all-time best villain songs. Her plot to manipulate King Triton's daughter so that he would sign away his powers and kingdom was straight up Hall of Fame Disney evilry. The sequence where Prince Eric duels against her in giant form with a ship and actually skewers her is the most epic showdown since Maleficent transformed into a dragon. Some people don't even consider her so evil so much as she was just a shrewd businesswoman. I would agree if she didn't sing a literal song about how much she loves stealing poor unfortunate souls through manipulative contracts. This is why you should always read the terms and conditions before you click accept. If you don't, a sea witch might take over the ocean. A lot of Disney fans will tell you that the scariest god of death from the Disney pantheon is Chernabog from Fantasia. Honestly though, Chernabog is a dude who is just doing his job while listening to his jams. It's not his fault that he is creepy looking and that his job is being a ruler of undead spirits. Hades, on the other hand, is a god of death who is unambiguously as bad as he can be. In fact, I'd say he's got several of the best qualities of other classic Disney villains. He's got Scar's manipulative skills, Ursula's charisma, and powers that would make the likes of Jafar or Maleficent horribly jealous. His big evil plot is also one of the most complex. He nearly used the Titans to conquer Mount Olympus and overthrow his brother Zeus. If it weren't for Hercules magically becoming immune to fate, Hades would have won everything. So Hades, you may never have gotten to be the ruler of the gods, but I am prepared to crown you as the most powerful Disney villain of them all. I am sure you are very honored. So now that we're in the age of big budget crossover movies, how have we not had a Disney villain team-up movie? I mean, we've seen Lego Gandalf and Lego Dumbledore hanging out in a movie, but not Ursula, Jafar, Hades, and Maleficent? Come on, Disney!